All right, welcome back to WMMA Now with your host Chuck Stevenson. So last October, I believe it was published on October 1st, on an episode of the WMMA Scene Report, I did a feature on ladies that I was referring to as, the future of MMA, and I believe I put a question mark. It was basically a list of young ladies, all of them under the age of 21, who had already made their MMA pro debut or were going to coming up, and showed a lot of promise and potential. So tonight, in January, I thought I would do an update on some of those fighters, and then also introduce you to some more young ladies that are already fighting in MMA or will be fighting soon, and could show a lot of promise. Now, do I have a crystal ball that I can see the future in? Am I a psychic? No. Do I know that these ladies are definitely going to be the future? No, but they certainly are starting out young. And some of them are showing a lot of promise, and they very well could be. So that's why I thought I'd do this feature as a standalone this time and, give an update 3 months after I did the last one. So let's get ahead and get started with the list. The first fighter we're going to feature is Bella Lady Mir. Now, Mir is 2-0. She is only 18 years old. She has a BJJ, wrestling, and MMA background, and of course she is most known for being the daughter of former UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir. Now, since the last feature, she has gone 2-0. She hadn't made her debut yet, but it was scheduled. Now, both of her fights came for Icon Fighting Federation out of Mexico. She was still only 17 at the time, so she had to go outside of the States to get her initial fights. Now she's 18. She can get some fights in the U.S. Mir definitely has the ground game down pat. Now, she needs to work on her striking some, but she shows a lot of potential. And she made her first fight at bantamweight where she missed weight, made her second fight at featherweight. Now, she could easily make some waves in the featherweight division, being that it is as shallow as it is. The big problem is going to be if she gets a couple wins. There's a big gulf between the bottom/middle of the pack at featherweight and then the upper end. Like, the bottom/middle is way below the upper end. So the sky is the limit for her, but she could also potentially run into some trouble fairly early. The time will tell. Next lady I want to talk about is Victoria Lee. Now, she is 16 years old, hasn't debuted yet. However, she has already signed to one championship. Now, besides being the sister of one champions, Angela Lee and Christian Lee, she has a very extensive martial arts background. She's a Hawaii State Wrestling champ, IMMAF Junior champ, and a 2-time Pancration Junior World Champion. Now, she was featured in the last one, but they have yet to announce her making her pro debut. I'd like to know, what is the holdup from one championship announcing her debut? I mean, her brother has fought since then. Her sister's out because of pregnancy. So this is the perfect time for Angela to make her debut outside of the shadow of her older sister. Now, of course, they're going to make that connection to push her, but this is her time, chance to really shine out from under the shadow of her sister while her sister's out. So what is one's holdup? Now, personally, I think they're having a hard time finding the perfect cherry pick opponent for her, because it's no secret that one likes to build their selected fighters up very slowly and give them very winnable fights. So personally, I think that it's just a matter of one championship finding the right cherry pick to choose as her opponent. Moving along the list, we're going over to Japan, and we're going to talk about Karen Date. Now, Karen is 17 years old, and she is already 2-0. Now, she is a member of the infamous Team Date, which is kind of like a mixture of a mixed martial arts team, kickboxing team / idol group. So they're very well known for that, and their elaborate dress and their style of fighting, which is based on some Indian martial art. So she's known for that. Now, she is currently signed to the Pancrase promotion, where she has made both of her pro MMA fights. Now, when I featured her last time, she was only 1-0. She since moved to 2-0 after winning at Pancrase 319 on October 25th. Now, I will say, usually the team date fighters do not do very well. However, I believe Karen has set a good trend compared to the other ladies on team date by winning both her pro debut fight and her follow-up fight. And she definitely seems to be the most well-rounded of the team date ladies and shows the most promise out of them. So that's why I think she's one to keep an eye on. Next, we move on to Sakura Mori, who is sometimes just called Sakura. She is 17 years old. She has a record of 3-1 with 1 no contest. Now, she is currently signed to Deep Jewels, but she did make her Rizin Fighting Federation debut on New Year's Eve, where she technically beat her opponent. She got a rear naked choke in the first round. However, because she missed weight, it was made a no contest. So she was heavily penalized for missing weight. However, I think Sakura shows signs of a well-rounded game, and I think she shows a lot of promise. That fight did come on, pretty short notice, like a week, I think. So hopefully she'll get the weight under control better next time, and I think she shows a lot of promise. Next up on the list, we're going to Bellator with Jade Jorand. Now, Jade is 20 years old. She fights out of France. Now, she has an MMA record of 0-1. She lost her pro debut in Bellator at Bellator 247 on October 1st. So the same night I published the initial version of this video, she made her pro debut. Now, Jade is a good striker, but if she's going to keep with MMA, she's primarily a kickboxer. She was initially signed to Bellator Kickboxing. So she's a very good striker, but if she's going to stick with MMA, she definitely needs to work on her ground game, because she got submitted by a Scorpion Crunch, which is honestly, and even Big John McCarthy in the commentary team talked about it, that is just not a submission that experienced grapplers get submitted by. It is mostly a move used by children. So Jade, if she works on her ground game, can show some promise because she already has a stand-up down. So I'm interested to see if she sticks with kickboxing or if she continues to train with MMA. Next, we're moving back to Japan for Eru Takebayashi. Eru is 17 years old. She has no wins, no losses, and 1 no contest as a pro. Now, she is 2-0 as an amateur, but she technically lost her pro debut to Sakura Mori at Rizin on New Year's Eve. But because of Sakura missing weight, the fight got made a no contest, so she technically has not suffered defeat, as far as official losses go. Now, she is 2-0 as an amateur. One thing I've noticed in one of her amateur fights and then the fight against Sakura is that she needs to take her time, because both fights she rushed into clinch and rushed into takedowns that got reversed and got choked out. So she needs to work on taking her time. She also needs to work on her scrambling ability. But I think Eru could show some promise. She does show some signs of promise, but she definitely needs to work on that scrambling and the rear naked choke defense. Sticking with Japan, Mizuki Furuse. Mizuki is 19 years old. She has a record of 7-7, so she has already fought a lot for such a young age. Now, Mizuki has fought from microweight at 97 pounds all the way up to super atom weight, which, depending on the promotion, is 108 to 110 pounds. Her most recent fight was in Rizin, where she lost to Kana Asakura. Before that, she was a part of the Deep Jewels microweight tournament. Now, she was set to fight in the finals before COVID basically squashed that. Now, she is currently on pregnancy hiatus, like a lot of young people during the COVID lockdowns. She went and got knocked up and then got married. Not necessarily in that order, although I think the pregnancy did come first. So hopefully she'll come back and make a return to MMA. I'd like to see what she can do as she matures. Now, granted, her record is not the greatest at 7-7, but when you're that young and fighting that as often as she is or was, you're bound to take some losses. So I'd like to see what she does postpartum. The final fighter on this list, we're moving over to Europe. Tereza Bleda. Tereza is 18 years old. She fights out of the Czech Republic. She is 1-0 as a professional. Now, she is being pushed kind of hard by the Octagon promotion out of Czech Republic and Slovakia. She has a 6-0 amateur background. Obviously won her first MMA fight. Now, she was also the winner of Octagon's Underground tournament, which was basically a MMA standing rules tournament, basically standing MMA with I think only 10 seconds of groundwork allowed. So she showed some promise with her striking. It remains to be seen just how good she can be. But at bantamweight, bantamweight needs just about everyone it can get. So if she can show some more promise, definitely keep an eye out on that. All right, so that is the January update for fighters who are possibly the future of the women's divisions of mixed martial arts. Now, like I said, I'm not a psychic. I don't have the crystal ball. These fighters may pan out really well, or they may end up not doing anything in their career. So it's hard to say. But the important thing is a lot of ladies are starting MMA at a younger age, which means that they leave themselves a lot of room to grow they leave themselves a lot of time and room to grow. So I like the ladies on this list so far. Some of them show some promise. Some possibly could with some improvement. Time will tell. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you like the video, please give it a like. While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.